kind of parts of managing up is that there is this kind of ability to know your executive's limitations and maybe where you can step in. And I'll just say that again. It's just being aware of their limitations and just knowing where you can step in and kind of fill that gap. So I just wonder how you've gone about doing that. And then the second part of that question is how you have built the skills to be able to do it and have the confidence to do it, because there is some tricky ground that needs to be tread when you are very aware of your executive's limitations. So I'll open it up to you.
For me, I have like a little like a checklist type of thing that I go through with my executive when I first start. And if I have other team members, I'll do the same with them. And it's literally to go through them as a person. So it wipes out having to ask them stupid questions like, do you have any allergies? Do you have kids? Do you have this? It's all, so I have all the information that I need that I can refer to for things going forward. I do a lot of active listening. So the first probably 3 months, I am listening all the time to how they react in different situations, you know, what they prioritize, their work habits. Do they flail after a second coffee? Do they need lunch? If they drink too much water, do they need to pee throughout the meeting? Like all the things that you think are little things, but if you're taking them all on, these are things that you're going to learn over time, that you're going to be like, right, I used to have to stop my executive from having a second coffee because he wouldn't sleep. Even though he had it so early in the day, he would not sleep if he had that second coffee. That caffeine stayed in his system. So I started learning that. And then when I saw him reaching for the second coffee, I would take it. And be like, no, here's a green tea, or here is something. And, you know, that saved him for his sleep, even though he didn't have the self-control that he wanted that second coffee. But it's those little things that he was like, oh, thanks for picking up on that. Or watching him flail, and you could see he hadn't eaten, so I would just sneak in like a protein bar or something where he'd be like, oh, thank you so much. But that all comes with time and experience and having that rapport where they will let you in like that. As I said, I know a lot of you don't have that rapport where they be, why did you bring this protein bar to me? You know, and embarrass you in front of a group. You've kind of got to hone those skills as to whether you think you have that kind of relationship where you can do something like that and it will be appreciated, or if they'll just think you're a weirdo. But yeah, a lot of it comes with active listening, active watching, and then trial and error with things, because they're learning just as much as you are about how you work together as a team. You know, it's one of the most intimate roles that you can have, is being an executive and an EA. So it's figuring out how it works for both of you.
Yeah, I mean, I would second that actually. I think a core skill of being an EA is I think you have to be observant. You have to kind of know what works for them, what doesn't work for them. Those little moments that you just talked about, all of that, like I'm the same. I have a document that I create in the first couple of days of working with someone new, and just continue to build on it and just add little bits into it. And it is just, you know, knowing them and building that relationship. But I think I have worked with some people that their limitations were easy fixes. So always overrunning. So, you know, you adjust the times of meetings, you know, or like the work time that I put in a diary doesn't work for them because they're better in the morning or they're better in the evening. It's just those kinds of things, and just being really, really, really observant and just paying attention to things that other people would think are just so minor that they would miss, but we always catch.
Mm-hmm.
You know.
And I don't know if this can be taught, but EQ is a big part of being a senior executive assistant. If you don't have your EQ tuned in, if you can't read the room, if you can see it's not appropriate for you to be in there, or, you know, they're discussing something you shouldn't be in the room for, it's not the time to change the water. It's not the time to serve the lunch. Use your brain, read the room, step out, and then wait till it's the right time to be able to do it. I don't personally know if that can be taught. I was born with EQ. I'm the fourth child, so I had to read the room a lot with two ADHD siblings. I had to be like, are we in trouble, or like, what just happened now? But I think EQ is a huge part and huge skill of being an executive assistant, particularly in the senior level.
I would absolutely agree with that, and it's actually something that I've put down here. I think it's an innate skill, like being observant and being intuitive is really innate for some people. And my exec is often saying, "My God, your instincts are always right." Like she says, it's one of my superpowers because I just always know, and it's just I've always been that way. You know, I can't remember a time when as a child, I was the same. So. I don't know if that is something that you can be taught.
That's why I wonder if it is you are or you aren't kind of
thing. Yeah.
But I was definitely been admins in my career where I've been like, why did you do that?
Yeah.
I can see they haven't picked up on.
Yeah, which to me is, I'm just like, what? How can you not have noticed that? It's so obvious. But I did think about that question about whether you can learn that skill, and I think it grows for for some people that are starting out in their careers. Maybe it grows with confidence. If you're making suggestions, you have to obviously have the confidence to be able to make a suggestion, and when you're on the right track, you just continue to do that, and you'll grow in confidence in doing that.
Yeah, so I agree. I agree with that. Yeah.
It's when you get those small wins, isn't it? I think with any kind of decision making or confidence building, it is literally building, and you have to start small and just make a decision, decide on doing something, and then when you have a quick win or a good result, you can move on to the bigger things, and then your confidence will grow.
Yeah.
I think one of the things I just wanted to mention around limitations was sometimes you can actually find that when you work with an executive that's quite different to you, say, for example, you're an extrovert, they're an introvert, then if they have limitations in the sense that maybe they're not people, they're not good around people, and then you can come in as an assistant and really help lift that and bridge that gap. I found a lot of assistant partnerships where that works really well. So it doesn't have to be that the limitation is that they're a terrible person. It can, it can actually be something where, you're again, as you've said, both said, that it's just sussing out who they are and their personality, and then maybe adjusting yours slightly so that the partnership works really well.
Yeah, I've actually worked with someone who she was new to the business, so she was just it was a bit them and us. So like her team felt like she was in an ivory tower. So I would just be like, right, when there's things to celebrate, you need to come out and champion the team and do something for them. And then I think I started putting in one-to-ones with new joiners so that they could kind of build a rapport and build a kind of relationship. But it's just, like you said, Nikki, it's just knowing, what they're like and what their personalities are like. She just was not when you put her in situations, she was very comfortable, but she wouldn't put herself in that situation. She wouldn't it wouldn't be her choice to go out and walk the floor or anything like that, which I think is, you need to do that. So.
Yeah. I think identifying strengths and limitations always requires some really honest and ongoing communication between you and your exec. A lot of observation, and once you get a good kind of sense of their blind spots, making sure to anticipate those kind of challenges. For instance, if they overlook details, you can step in and ensure that no important tasks are missed, or if they're weak in time management, build buffers into projects or meetings or whatever to make sure that deadlines are met. But kind of looking at their blind spots and seeing where you can kind of compensate around things like that. Also, again, as I say, being the eyes and ears in the business for them, and hearing and picking up on things that they probably should be aware of, but because they're in their own world and so busy, they may not, if one of the executives had a death in the family, they're not necessarily going to tell them, but it might be nice to know that this person needs a bit of space, or they're not going to be here, or just things like that. That they will, if they don't appreciate it immediately, they will start to appreciate it. I know that there's a definite line, though, of being helpful in that situation and being an agony aunt. I don't know if agony aunt is just a British thing. I only learnt that over here. But I got called an agony aunt out of spite, I think, by an executive because
Right.
people kept coming up to me and telling me things, and they didn't like it that person, these people kept coming to me. They're like, you're in the CEO's office, you shouldn't be pretty much fraternizing with all the other staff. I was like, that's absolutely not right. That's not true. That's not what this is.
Strongly with that.
Yeah. So I think
That's
just
a huge
finding
part of
that.
the role.
Exactly. Yeah.
It is, again,